typical preoperative planning, I have to plan how long the osteotomy is going and how much distance will I have later on to have the diaphysially fit implant placement. The length of the osteotomy is variable depending whether you have a cemented or uncemented implant. By and large, we go distal to the tip of the implant in cemented prosthesis and proximal to the tip in uncemented prosthesis, but this can be variable. It also depends on the situation of femoral remodeling. Ideally, we'd like to remove the femoral component before you do the osteotomy, so you have a decent chunk of bone digging afterwards. Sometimes it's not achievable. So this is the post-lateral approach. The patient's head is on the top end of the screen and the patient's leg is at the bottom end of the screen. You identify the posterior border of vastus lateralis, and you measure the length of the osteotomy, having removed the femoral component, in this case, this is cemented hip, and you measure the length of the osteotomy from the tip of the trochanter until usually it's 13 centimeter osteotomy. At the bottom end of the wound, you mobilize the vastus lateralis to identify the area you want to osteotomize. Osteotomy goes lateral to the line of the linea aspera. The leg is flexed, internally rotated, but the hip is kept extended. So the oscillating saw goes from posterolateral to an anterolateral direction. We aim to take about 1/3 of the femur. The plane, again, very insisting the plane should be perpendicular to the anteversion of the hip. When you go to the top end, proximally angle it a little bit so that you have a bigger chunk of the trochanter that minimizes the chance of breaking the trochanter as you clip it. Now the distal end had to be done with the pencil burr because it needs to be rounded off, it needs to be tapered distally, so that allows good seating of the bone graft or the osteotomy afterwards. The corner should be rounded off to avoid stress rises because you'll be introducing premus in that part, you don't want to have a pressure. So this is the distal end now done. And then for the medial cortex, we've not done anything yet for the medial cortex, you pass drills, fine osteotomes, having put the wide osteotomes first to separate it a little bit. And then this is how you do it. You do an osteoclasis. You lift the wide osteotomes and create an osteoclasis on the anterior cortex. And here it is. As I said, we've removed the femoral component beforehand. This is the cement mantle. You start to move with the osteotomes from cement mantle to the bone interface. It's useful to divide the cement mantle into segments. You can easily remove it. We moved all the cement mantle, you can see, and we direct our attention to the cement into the canal. We use, in this case, it's an Oscar, which is an ultrasound machine that dissolves the cement. You go through this and you remove everything and start your reconstruction. Now in this situation you have an uncemented stem which is well fixed and you can't remove it. We do the same thing, but you make sure that you get a decent chunk of bone out. You lift your osteotomy, and then you add this well-fixed stem. Now the most attaching thing at this stage will be the medial cortex and medial attachment of the stem. So you pass a shiny saw between the stem and the bone to try to free that. Still wouldn't come out, so you have to take our knives. It's not like this one, it's a metal cutting burr. You cut the long stem, leaving about an inch above the osteotomy. You go through that, and then the stem is removed. Now we add this remaining stone with the crown drill. We go with the crown drill with trifine to remove all the bony ingrowth into that part further to the osteotomy, and that's removed. Having done that, done reconstruction, then repair the osteotomy. Usually I use two cables in the standard osteotomy of 13 centimeters. Some people use more than that, some people use wires. The cables and wires have to be passed under vastus lateralis to avoid strangling the muscle and the blood supply of the muscle. I don't use a graph, but there are reports of people who use extract graphs in these situations. Most of the rehabilitation for my patients is 6 weeks, toe attachment bearing, 6 weeks, departure to free movement. There is a modified extended trochanteric osteotomy, and this has been popularized by the group in Toronto, led by Alan Cross, first published in 2010. The advantage of this approach, which they use primarily initially for varicose leg fractures, is it preserves those sleeve structures. So it's performed through direct lateral approach. The osteotomy goes, as you see on this dotted line here, between the posterior border of the medius majus and the piriformis. So you preserve the short ascending rotator, you preserve the posterior capsule. You take an anterior 1/3 of the femur as opposed to the lateral 1/3 of the femur. and then you do an anterior surgical dislocation, having removed the fragment anteriorly. Fixation is the same with wires or cables. Deadlockate non-repairing for 6 weeks, and no active abduction for another 6 weeks. Now we worry now because we've taken a large segment of the femur and it's weakened the femur. We need to know what's happening with that. So I found this nice cadaveric study, which shows that yes, following an ETO, you reduce the torsional strength of the femur by 73%. But when you repair the osteotomy and you have a well-fixed femoral implant in place, that improves that. Still significantly weaker than the native femur, but it's much stronger. This is another biomechanical study about the types of fixation, and it's compared various things from wire loops, cables, cable groups, and it subjected the femora in the cadaveric study to 500 newtons of vertical and lateral stresses, and looked at micro-motion between the fragments, and they concluded that cable grip fixation is better than wire fixation. So we'll go through the indications again with case examples. This case had massive osteolysis of the acetabulum, the kind of cases that Dr. Sen showed us for the previous fractures, but this wasn't a previous fracture. Cement going all the way down to the canal. So access in this patient in particular can be difficult. So this patient had an ETO, reconstruction being done, femoral implant procedure, and it's been repaired. And this is the same patient a year down the line. We get a lot of these where I work, thanks to my predecessors. Excess cement down the femoral canal. It's very difficult to remove it from the top. It adds hours and hours and hours and doesn't guarantee complete removal. We can't do cement and cement in these patients because they usually invariably have tip osteolysis. You can't do cement and cementosis in these people. So this again would be optic planning, how long the osteotomy is going to go.